So right after Rudy Gobert at number 6, finally cracking the top 5. Younger fella, 22, 23 years old maybe now. DeAndre Ayton?
DeAndre,
That his name?
that is his name. This is a guy
Fella.
I was very happy to see him this high on the list because I didn't think you were going to rank him as high as me. I actually think, to me, it was almost a question of, is he a top 3? But then I just couldn't justify because, again, everyone is just so good at this level. Even the guy ahead of him at 4, I would have loved to put DeAndre Ayton at 4. I just think the guy ahead of him does a bit more. But Ayton, I mean, he's a guy, he's only been in the NBA for 2 years, but he's improved both years, even by a bit. He's a guy who's clearly living up to the top pick standard. He's on a team that is clearly on the rise, so we're just going to see him keep getting better and better. I wouldn't be surprised if this year, maybe the year after, we see DeAndre Ayton lead the year in blocks. We're probably going to see DeAndre Ayton win Defensive Player of the Year, if not once, multiple times.
That's high.
I'm not going to say he's ever going to be in the MVP discussion because he has guys like Devin Booker on his team who, if there's a Phoenix Sun ever nominated, it will likely be him. But DeAndre Ayton is definitely one of the best centers. Like I said about Wendell Carter Jr. earlier, these young guys, they are, again, so athletic. They're very lean. He played 32 minutes per game last year, and if he keeps going on this, I mean, if you have DeAndre Ayton in a game for 36 minutes a game, you can't ask much more in the post. And it's not like they have it's not like they have a bad secondary player in the post either. So, I mean, I think the Suns are obviously great there. And DeAndre Ayton is a guy who next year definitely going to be in the top 5. If he keeps improving at this rate, we've said it about a couple guys, if they could get to 24 and 10, 25 and 10, I think Ayton can. And then it will really be discussion of, is Ayton a top 3 center? Is Ayton the top center? And that's where he's going to end up very soon, I think.
See, I can see your point in there where he has put up this number. He's still young. He'll be 22 next year. He's put up an 18 and 12 year essentially last year, which is fantastic for a team that wasn't in the winning mindset. With that being said, I think it really comes down to the wins that he would bring to his team. I don't think he's proven that just yet. You have really high esteem for him when it comes to his defensive presence. I really hope he does fulfill that. He's already done fairly well. He's so young. It's so hard to predict what kind of level he can become once he really fills into that frame. And the guy's 22 years old. I feel like I'm old. I'm 25. It's a little embarrassing. But that being said, he definitely does bring a certain mentality to that team. My only knock on him is the same thing that we say for Whiteside, Drummond, Gobert, great defensive players, great mobile bigs. They can really get around the floor. But my only knock on all those guys is they haven't proven to stretch the floor. I think Ayton's in that same boat, and I don't think he really gets any higher than that on this list until he can prove that he can stretch the floor. And if he can, then that just opens the lane so much for Booker and so all the players on that team. And it's just today's day and age. That's the same reason why Gobert isn't higher either.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not against that on any means. I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, for him to be higher on the list, that is something he needs to develop. I think the main difference with him is I think he has the most potential of those guys to develop it because he is the least stiff. Like, again, guys like Drummond, as strong as they are, there's not as mobile, right? Yeah. He is such just a freak athlete. I think he is much more mobile, where I'm not saying he's going to extend to maybe a great three-point shooter, but I think he could extend to a good mid-range shooter without much difficulty, to be honest. I think it'll happen much like Anthony Davis, where when he came in, he was a lot more post-centric, and he's really just kind of made his way out as kind of time has progressed. I think we'd see a bit of a similar route for DeAndre Ayton. I don't know if he'll ever get to a point for rebound production like Anthony Davis. Yeah, I do think obviously we'll see him extend a bit. My main concern personally, I think that DeAndre Ayton would be really his passing at this point. I mean, yes, the fact that he did put under 2 assists per game in both of those years, you obviously want him to improve. but also his turnovers per game were up last year too, which means he's clearly not making the right decisions when he's also passing the ball or putting the ball on the floor. So I think he obviously needs to improve that part of his offensive game as well, developing that IQ, knowing where and when to put the ball, when to pass it out, when not to panic and try to dribble when there's a crowd of three around you. So those are a couple of things I think Ayton needs to work on as well if he does want to be better, especially than the number 4 guy. Because I think for the next couple of years, those are really going to be the two we debate. I think honestly, top 3 are probably going to just be the 3 guys fighting with each other for the next couple of years as well.
Yeah, no, that's very likely. Like I say, you hit it right at the nail there. Ayton's, if he puts up a couple different metrics, he can definitely move up a spot. Getting any higher than that will be very difficult unless he does really do some drastic improvements. But that's not out of the question. He's 22 years old.
Exactly.
Some of these star players don't make it there until they're 25, 26. Their prime's about 27, 29. He is nowhere close to that. He has so much potential, and it's going to be exciting for that Phoenix Suns team. I know you think he's going to be an all-star this year. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I think he's in that discussion. I think he's right up there, and I think that Phoenix is going to be a really good team this year.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, at the end of the day, on spoiling anyone, there is only 2 centers in the West that are higher. So it's not unlikely he's an all-star, right? The odds are more so in his favor than against. He's kind of right in the middle there, so.
And I think it depends all on how Phoenix does.
Yeah, so vote for DeAndre. Make me right. And not Jordan.
Well, Jordan has a chance. You never know. But right after DeAndre Ayton, our list,